nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for envisioning the best flags in their head. So we will now move into programs. I think we have our Director of Affordability, Julia Campbell, to present on an income share. This program was supposed to be next week, but to try and even out the time of the weeks a little bit. This is in reference to the bill that is on first read this week and will be seen next week. Yep.
All right, good evening, everyone. I am Julia Campbell, serving as the Director of Affordability this year, and I'm very excited to share with you tonight a proposal for an income share program implemented here at Iowa State that has been the work of President Fritz and Vice President Schrader, and I've been able to collaborate with them on throughout the past weeks. And we just recently presented this to Pam Kane, the Senior Vice President for Operations and Finance. So with that, we'll jump into the material tonight. I would love to welcome any questions you have at any point or at the end as well. To provide an overview of what an income share program does, it is a contractual agreement in which a student receives education funding in exchange for an agreed upon percentage of their post-graduation income over a set period. So this is something where when they enter the contract, the percentage of their income and the payment period is determined based on their average starting income following graduation. Income share agreements offer students and their families alternative financing options for students who need gap funding that maybe have exhausted private loans, grants, and other scholarship opportunities that will help them continue with their degree and finish with completing that. And finally, there are many protections in place to protect both the students and the investors on both sides of this program, and payments, such as payments may be paused under certain circumstances if the students were to leave school and enter a voluntary work program. Maybe they're spending time in the Peace Corps, or they're not finding employment yet, or they maybe haven't met the minimum income requirement to start making those payments again. Another option is also an early payback option. President Fritz, Vice President Schrader, and I this past week presented this proposal on the screen to Pam Kane that we'll walk through today. We are proposing as student government, or hoping to propose, that an income share program is implemented at Iowa State University with a pilot program beginning in spring of 2022. A couple key components of this include the pilot program involving between 30 and 50 students that are identified by the Office of Financial Aid and have been students actively working with the Office of Financial Aid prior to the pilot program. Number 2, the program should eventually expand beyond the pilot program to encompass students in all majors that are juniors and seniors in their programs. The program should have a cap on percentage of income, cap on maximum total payment, a monthly and minimum income threshold, and a maximum number of years for which payments are required in order to protect students. This program should be funded primarily by investors with a philanthropic focus who understand this investment will achieve modest rates of return that are net of whatever fees to the program. The program will be accompanied by an informational social media and marketing campaign reaching a student-focused audience that is in not any way advertising for this program, except it is just making students aware of the opportunity to engage in it. And finally, we're proposing that Iowa State sources and finds a third-party management company to work with by spring of 2021. To understand the value of an income share program that would bring to Iowa State, we'll talk about 3 main key stakeholder groups, beginning with students. The focus of this program would be to make college more affordable for our student body and help encourage students maybe looking at coming to Iowa State to take that jump and leap. Number 2, for Iowa State, a primary goal would be to increase our 6-year graduation rate and engage our medium-sized donors, which is something that President Fritz and Vice President Schrader have discussed in the past with groups on campus. And finally, the investor group, as our third key stakeholder, would have a chance to positively impact the Iowa State community and leave a legacy on students that this program has touched. To provide some insight On 2 universities that are currently implementing successful income share programs, we'll look at 2 case studies beginning with Purdue. Purdue's Backup Boiler program is in the 5th year and currently has about 1,000 students within their program, and they have 1,400 contracts they're coming up on. That's because some students have found this program to be extremely meaningful and successful in their lives that they've come back for maybe a second or third term contract. At Purdue, the average amount funded is between $10,000 and $12,000, but again, going back to that gap funding, this varies per individual. They have a variable percent of income that you could be paying back after graduation, and this ranges between 1.73% and 5% at Purdue. They've got 10 years or less of payments, and they have a payment cap of 2.3 times whatever the amount you took out of your initial contract. At Purdue, similar to what we're proposing here at Iowa State, all majors are eligible, but students must be at least in their sophomore year to be eligible for the program and have a declared major. Similar to Purdue, and also what we're proposing for Iowa State, as well as you'll see with University of Utah coming up next, students have to be making a minimum of $20,000 a year to start making payments back to the program. This is something as going back to those protections for students. And finally, similar to Iowa State's ISU Foundation, the Purdue Research Foundation manages the Backup Boiler Investment Fund, and that's something that we're looking at as a model potentially in what it could look like at Iowa State. Briefly touching on University of Utah, their program is called Invest in You, and it's currently in a pilot program stage. They have between $3,000 and $10,000 available to students, and they have 3 contract periods, including the fall, spring, and summer semesters. You cannot exceed $20,000 within those 3 contract periods for the program. At Purdue, they have a fixed percentage at 2.85, and the duration of their payments range from 3 to 10 and a half years. Again, this varies on the number or the amount of money you took out initially with your contract and also your projected income following graduation. They have a 2-time limit or 2-time the amount cap, and all majors who are within 2 years of graduating are eligible. Their fund has been raised through a combination of institutional capital and private donors, which again would be a conversation down the road as far as investing. Taking a look at who sources the money to make this fund and this program viable, investors will put money into the fund with no guarantee of getting their money back. They can choose 2 options. Number 1, they can choose to profit from their investment very minimally, or the fund can own their dividends and they'll be returned to the fund year after year. You could expect a typical rate of return very minimally between 1% and 4%, as seen at some other universities across the United States, as payments come back. But these percentages will be calculated after a third-party management takes their service fee out for the program. So one thing I do want to add is what's cool about an income share program is there will be companies that manage these programs aside from Iowa State. So Iowa State is not the one overseeing the collection of payments and things like that, which makes it a lot easier on the university and reduces overhead costs because they don't have to hire a full-time employee to manage this. Going back to touch on protections for students, again, we want this to be an option that makes college more affordable and accessible to students, and protecting them is our first and foremost goal. With that being said, their payment obligation ends whenever the first of any of the 3 following points occur. Number 1, they make the minimum number or the required number of payments regardless of the original amount that they withdrew from the fund. Secondly, they reach the end of their term as outlined in the income share agreement, or finally, they hit the payment cap. So there's a variety of options that would come from this where you would be finished making payments. With any program, we do want to highlight that we've looked at some of the challenges and things that we want to point out, just as we're all on the same page, is beginning with acknowledgement of sunk cost potential. There is a chance for students to default on these loans, and that would be a sunk cost to the investment fund. When we think about it, and when we've spoken with Purdue through video conferencing, we had the opportunity to engage with some professionals in this field. They say that their default rate is extremely low at Purdue, and that would be something to take into consideration with more conversation down the road. The second challenge we'll point out would be predatory people. These would maybe be investors who join the program without that philanthropic focus, that are seeking too high a rate of return on students that are desperate for education funding in their current situation. So we want to avoid that. And finally, we're working to avoid swaying students towards specific employers and specific industries. As income share agreements gain traction, there's actually some work going on in Washington, D.C. right now through Purdue University to make these more aware to politicians and legislatures out there. But we want to avoid, as some companies are willing to pay for a student's income share agreement following graduation. So that's something that we also want them to be free to choose whichever direction they'd like to go following graduation. We had a variety of conversations with different schools. Purdue has a very strong program and was a great resource to us. But at this point in time, I would love to answer any questions you have, or if anybody has thoughts or comments, we'd love to hear them.
So if there are any questions for the program, or I think we could answer them now, or I think Senator Stenzel is the author of the resolution and could answer them at any point in the next week as well. So Senator Kloptowskis.
Yeah, so that 1 to 4%, is that over the 10 years proposed time span that they'll pay it back, or is that on a yearly basis of them paying it back?
So it's over the time that the students are making their payments back. So the investor will put money in the fund to fund maybe a contract, and so as the student goes on to make payments back to the fund, they could collect their dividends on a yearly basis if they so choose to.
So then my question is, if you're trying to attract medium investors, how do you persuade them with 1 to 4% over that time span versus investing in the market per se that will see a higher yield over that time span?
Absolutely. That's a great question, and I think there's a lot to be figured out yet with the program. So that 1 to 4% is from numbers that we've seen from Purdue and University of Utah. We're hopefully meeting with the program director of Baca Boiler soon, and those would be some great questions. In order to attract and engage those medium-sized donors, that was a goal presented by Pam Kane earlier in the year, and I think that this would be a great chance for them to come in. It's a very safe investment, and maybe they are just starting out, or maybe they're ending and nearing retirement where it's a safe place for their money. So that would be something where we'll discuss down the road as we look towards finding those initial investors. That's a great question.
I yield.
Sorry, Senator, I have a hard time seeing all the way back. Young.
Hi, would this program ever be extended to graduate or professional students?
That is something that what's really neat is each income share program across the universities nationally would be extended to, it's very unique to the school. So if Iowa State chose to extend that to graduate students and professional students, that would be something that absolutely has worked across different universities, and it would be up for discussion down the road. So that's a great point, yes.
Sure. Has Purdue implemented a graduate or professional student option?
That is something that we have discussed. I do think that with the initial pilot program, working with those students that are nearing the last 2 semesters of their program right now are really where we're targeting, just to understand what it would look like, what the reaction is, and how well it goes. And then from there, we are hoping to expand the program. I think there's endless potential there as to who might be eligible for this down the road.
Sure. I just have one final question. So if a student finishes their undergraduate and then moves into a professional or a graduate program, at what time do they start making payments on this?
So when they'll start making payments when, number one, they meet that minimum income threshold. So as a graduate student, your payments will be paused, so you won't start making payments till you receive that income down the road. And there's lots of I guess I would say measures taken to ensure that this is a safe option for both the students and as well everyone involved. So when you were in graduate school, the payments would be paused, and then there's also a grace period following graduation for your undergraduate degree, where you wouldn't start making payments maybe 6 months after to give you time to settle into your job and start earning an income. And then after that 6-month grace period is over, they typically start collecting payments on the first of the month.
And just to clarify, would a assistantship or a job like a TA for a graduate student count as employment or no?
typically through my research, I found that that is not the case because you still are classified as a student, but I would have to look into that and get back to you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Simonson.
We saw that Purdue caps the maximum money that a student has to pay back at 2.3 times the ISA amount. And I'm not very good at accounting math, but to me, that's over 10 years. That's over a 20% APR, which would be a pretty bad deal for the students. Does Iowa State plan to do a better job than Purdue at protecting their students against predatory stuff like that?
So I'll start by telling you that Purdue's original cap was at 2.5%, and they've actually dropped that to 2.31%. So to go along with that statement, they've looked at the change in projected income and things like that. So there is a variety of things that go into that decision. You saw that University of U's cap was 2 times the amount, and I think that that's very much a variable that would be up to Iowa State when they begin to implement that policy. But I believe I'd be on the very exact same page as you, that we want to keep that as low as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Emery.
So you mentioned that the rates of default are like relatively low at the other universities. Do you know like the exact percentage or like a ballpark range?
That's a great question. I do not know that number, so I can look into that and I can get back to you on that. It was something that I expressed concern for in initial video conferencing meetings. We went with the Chief Information Officer of Income Share Agreements at Purdue. Her name is Mary Claire Cartwright. We met with her multiple times, and it was something that in our initial conversations, I had a lot of maybe red flags, or there was a lot of alarming things, but we're able to really understand the program and how it is something that this program is not for everyone, just like maybe student loans are for everyone. So this is a unique program to individual needs, and it really helps to create an inclusive environment in terms of making college more affordable. So I think to answer your question, going back to that would be something that they were not concerned at with Purdue, but it would be something to be very much aware of. So I'll look into that and get back to you.
Thank you. I yield.
Any further discussion? Okay, then thanks, Julia, and we'll move on to open forum. So at this time, any students with any issues relevant? Oops, sorry. There we go. So, this time, any student may approach the lectern with any issues they deem relevant to the student body or student government.
Right here. Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. I am Jennifer Seth. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Director of Sustainability of Student Government. I don't actually have an issue. I'm just here to do another shameless plug for committee applications for Sustainability Committee. I am currently looking for more senators to apply for my committee, so I'm just kind of standing up here to kind of ask all of you, if you have any interest in, working in sustainability projects, or if you feel like you have a passion for sustainability and you would like to get engaged and involved working on projects ranging from climate action to recycling to composting, all the way to, education outreach, please feel free to submit an application. I have the form on the committee page of the student government website. And if you have any questions, I will be at today's meeting, so after the meeting you can come up and ask me in person, or you can send me an email or any sort of message. So yeah, please apply for Sustainability Committee. I'm looking for senators. Thank you.
All right. Is there any further discussion for open forum? Okay, then seeing none, we will move on to adopting the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Senator Ludwig, or Speaker Ludwig.
Right, so just a couple changes for this week's agenda. First, Emily is not able to make it tonight, so I'm going to move to table for 1 week. 32 SC, confirming a nominee for election commissioner.
Okay, there's been a motion to table, is that 32 SC?
Yes.
32SC, and there's been a second. Is there any objection? Okay, then seeing none, the bill has been tabled for 1 week. Still your floor, Speaker Ludwig.
Okay, now I'm going to add some bills. So first, I'm going to add 33 SD, confirming a nominee for Frederickson Court Senator to the top of general orders.
Okay, there's been a motion for 33 SD to the top of general orders. Is there a second? Any objection? Okay, then seeing none, it has been added to the agenda.
Okay.
Floor is still yours.
I am also going to add 34 SD, confirming a nominee for GPSS Senator to the right after the Frederickson Court bill.
Okay, there's been a motion to add 34 SD to the right after the Frederickson Court bill. Is there a second? Okay, and is there any objection? Okay, then seeing none, the bill has been added.
Okay, and then I'm going to move to add 35 SG, confirming nominees for the SI committee to the bottom of general orders.
There's been a motion to add 35 SG to the bottom of general orders. Is there a second? Any objection? Okay, then the bill has been added. Are there any further amendments to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
Any objections? Okay, then the agenda has been approved. Now move on to approval of the minutes from last week. Are there any amendments to the minutes from last week? It's been a motion to adopt the minutes. Is there a second? Second. Any objection? All right, and the minutes are adopted as well. We will now move on to committee reports. First is Rules Committee with Speaker Ludwig.
There we go. All right, so got my nominees up for Rules Committee tonight. There are a couple that could not make it because they're in quarantine, so I'm going to speak on their behalf. Other than that, we've got the 2 bylaw bills that I held for an extra week. We will be discussing those, I believe, on Monday. I think that's the time that worked for us. So, yeah, that's my updates for the week. Yield.
Any questions for Speaker Ludwig? Okay, then Finance with Finance Director Klass.
Yeah, so we're seating the senators tonight for Finance Committee. One of them is not able to be here tonight because of quarantine as well. I can speak for Senator Zastro if needed, but he was on the committee last year, and I have full faith that he can do just as good a job, if not better, this year. We're seeing some first read for the Triathlon Club, and then also some more bills are coming up. If you have any questions, please ask me or other senators that have been here before, but should be good.
Any questions? Okay, then moving on to PR with Director of Outreach Crab.
Okay, hi folks. So as you guys might have seen, Club Fest ended up moving on to virtual. So we do have a plan for that. I created an infographic video that hopefully you'll eventually see on social media, kind of just regarding the different committees that we have. And I emailed Dr. Stewart for feedback on the social justice forum and one-pagers, hopefully to work with him more on social media posts regarding diversity and inclusion this year. We've reached out to Lauren and Sophie who are working on ideas for COVID and diversity and inclusion related projects. Film the Senate recap. At the end of this, could you, one of the senators, come up and we'll just do like a quick little Senate recap. And then also we have stickers coming in about 2 weeks, and we're gonna give those out during like tabling, and then if we have any other in-person events. All right, thank you.
Okay, then we will move on to Diversity and Inclusion Committee with President Fritz.
Yeah, so as Ellie mentioned, Diversity and Inclusion is kind of working on some social media campaigns this week. So that's the main thing that they're going to be focusing on right now. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, then we will go to SI with Senator Hovey.
Hi, everyone. I'm really pleased with the amount of responses that I've received to join the SI committee. We now have 4 senators and 3 at-large members. So if any of you guys have any friends that might be interested in SI committee, please plug that for me. And then some goals that I think we're going to work toward fulfilling would be to expand outdoor seating, eating, and study areas, and then providing information about these spaces that would be easily accessible to students, whether it be on a website or a flyer. And that's about it for me.
All right. Then we will move on to civic engagement with Senator Samuel.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm still looking for one more senator to apply, so if anyone's interested, please go ahead and apply. Yep, I yield.
All right. And then if there are no questions for any of our committee chairs, we'll move on to comments from the executive branch with President Fritz.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. So first thing is that we had our first in-person cabinet meeting this Sunday, and so it was a really productive meeting. We were able to discuss kind of what people worked on over the summer and what we're looking forward to in the upcoming week and working on. We also went around and discussed feedback of how classes are going, which will be shared with the necessary people. So if anyone has any thoughts and concerns about how classes are going right now, please feel free to let me know, and I can contact the various points of contact in administration. Secondly, the student government advisor search is going to be happening over the next 2 weeks. So there will be open forums for student government members to ask questions to the 3 advisor candidates. So that will be on September 3rd, 4th, and 11th, and you should have received an email from Vice President Schrader with some Zoom links for those. So if you're able to be there, that would be amazing. We also had an income share program meeting with Senior Vice President for Operations and Finance, Pam Kane. As Julia mentioned, her, Schrader, and I were able to give a presentation, and college affordability is really the main focus there. I'm a very big believer in what Iowa State has to offer. I love and believe in this institution. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. And, it's an opportunity to receive a world-class education. We have amazing programs and research. But, unless people are able to come here and stay here, none of what we do here matters. It's all about having that access. And so for some students, this would have an incredible impact upon their ability to pay for college. And it's really a good thing all around for students, the university, and philanthropic investors. So if you have any questions about the proposal, please feel free to reach out with us within the next week before the resolution is voted on. Ames City Council passed a resolution to create a mask mandate in the city. It does not contain an enforcement mechanism, but it will go into effect this Friday. President Winterstein will be in attendance at the September 9th meeting as well. Does anybody have questions? Great. So I will also use this time to let Senior Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Toya Younger, introduce herself, as well as Dean Evans.
Good evening, everyone. I promise you I'm smiling. You just can't see it with this ugly mask on. But I am so thrilled to be here. I had the opportunity to meet with some of you all during my long, arduous interview, and so it's good to see a lot of you all face to face again. It feels somewhat surreal being here. I've shared this with Schrader and with Fritz. 25 years and probably about 50 pounds ago, I was vice president of SGA. And so just being here, listening to you all talk about major issues that are of concern to students is always encouraging and engaging. I have been here now for 13 days. Needless to say, it has been a bit overwhelming. I moved 2 days before the derecho. A bird got into my house for 2 days. I mean, it's been a lot going on, but I'm still standing. And I just wanted to say hello, let you all know that I'm here and that I'm accessible. I recognize that this is not the typical welcome for a new senior vice president of student affairs. And I've been trying to come up with some innovative ways where I can not only connect with you all, but with all of the students. And so I did a video. It's kind of cheesy, but just, act like you like it when you see it. But I just wanted to introduce myself to all of the students and let them know that I was here and how to reach out to me. So I wish you all a very great year. I know that things are somewhat atypical. If you're anything like me, you kind of get freaked out every once in a while when you sit back and look at all of us sitting here with masks on and what it truly means. It can be a little bit overwhelming. But I want you all to know that we're here for you. I want you to know that there are resources available. This is a very strenuous time. You're trying to take care of your academics. You're dealing with concerns, not only here on campus, but probably back home. And so I want you all to know that you can always reach out to myself or Dean Evans. We are so excited to be here, finally be here in person. I know Dean Evans has been around a little bit longer, but she finally made it to Ames as well. And I really look forward to having the opportunity to not only meet with you all more frequently, but also have a chance to connect with some of you one-on-one and do what I can to help serve the SGA.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Evans, and I am the new Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students. And I have been in Ames since about mid-July, but I have been on the books, as they say, since May, where I started remotely from my hometown, which is Joliet, Illinois. But I finally got here, and it's been great. It's been great. I really do love Ames, and I'm glad to be here, and I do love Iowa State. So glad to finally see the campus. Schrader and Morgan know my story, but both of us actually interviewed remotely, and I had never been to Ames. I'd never seen Iowa State. And so this is my first time doing all of this. And I also picked the townhouse online, and just with a leap of faith, it turned out really good. So I'm happy about that. But this is great. You know, just as Dr. Younger said, this brings back memories. I wasn't a part of SGA, but I've advised numerous SGAs over my 20-plus years in higher education, and just the thought of hearing Robert's Rules again just brought back a whole bunch of memories. So I have much appreciation for that book, right, Schrader? But I just want to thank you for your diligence, for your commitment to Iowa State, for your commitment to our student body. It is so important. Well, part of my job is always advocating for students. A lot of people think I'm all about discipline. That is not the case. I'm about advocating for students, and what goes along with that is my understanding what your needs are and how you're doing. So I, too, will be taking time out to try to get to know just about everyone in this room if possible. I'm not going to say that that's always possible considering the year that we're in, but I will definitely try. My office is over in the Student Services building on the first floor. Do not hesitate to come by and say hello. If you need some kind of assistance, either academically, personally, I'm there. My team is there to help. They are wonderful people, and so please have confidence in knowing that we can help you in any way possible. But I just want to say thank you for your service. You don't have to be a part of student government. You choose to be. And this is such an important body to Iowa State, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
All right, are there any questions for President Fritz? Well, I'm sure that I can speak for everyone that Dr. Evans and Younger and President Fritz would be happy to have any of you reach out at any point in time if you have, comments, concerns, you just want to get to know anybody. I think that we can have a great year, and you guys get to start together with us in this whole new world. So thanks for coming out. I appreciate you being here. So we will now move on to our bills. So within general orders, we have 2020-2-033SD, confirming the nomination of a Frederickson Court Senator with Speaker Ludwig.
Yeah, if the nominee for Frederickson Court Senator can approach the podium, talk about why they're interested in serving in the Senate, why they think they're qualified, and yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Grant. I'm a junior this year, and I am double majoring in electrical and mechanical engineering. I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I was born and raised in Iowa, and I love the state. I think I would be a really good choice for Senator Frederickson Court because not only have I lived there over the summer, so I can see what the summer life is like and give a perspective from that end, I'm also a community advisor there. And so I'm already actively engaged in that community every single day. I work there. I'm connecting with my residents in my building and in other buildings. If any incidents occur, I am notified of them and I'm aware of them and I'm able to take care of them. And I think that if I was elected senator, I would be an amazing representative for the people that are in the apartments over there. And I really hope that if elected senator, I will be able to give my fullest extent of my ability to the position. If anyone has any questions, I guess I'm open for those as well.
Okay. Senator Springer.
Hi. Is it on? So I have a question about the campaign that you ran last year. So my understanding is that when your campaign was suspended, your intention was to file an appeal with the Supreme Court, and you were given the information how to do that, and then you didn't end up doing it. So I guess my question is, why the renewed interest in student government?
Yeah, so initially I had begun the appealment process, and I actually wasn't aware of the entire process. I was told I had to submit some sort of paperwork, which I wasn't notified of, which wasn't the point of me not submitting it either. I had a really busy internship in Dallas this summer, and I figured I wanted to focus on that and my career for the future first over the summer, especially with COVID going on. I didn't even know if we'd be here this semester. And so I figured, I would reconsider the option when classes start. I talked with Vice President Schrader, and he said that positions open up during the semester all the time, seats go empty, just like the one here. And so I figured, okay, if I am fortunate enough to be able to return to the university at my community advisor position, and the COVID situation cools down a little bit enough for us to be here, I will reconsider trying to fill a position and try to represent the students that are in the apartments. And that just so happened, so I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and the Frederickson Court Council said that they think I would be an amazing representative for them. They even gave me some ideas that they were kind of interested in, and said, hey, obviously sustainability talked about composting, but they're trying to get composting going there, and so we've been talking about that as well. So yeah, that was mainly the one reason why I didn't want to keep going through with it, because I wanted to focus on the summer and my work. I was really fortunate to have an in-person internship and a research lab, so it was too much for me at the time, and decided to continue this semester if the seat was open.
Thank you, I yield.
There's been a motion to add Senator Rinchie to the roll. Is there any objection? Okay, then without objection, the senator's been added to the roll call. Is there any further discussions or questions about the nominee to be Frederickson Court Senator? There's been a call to question. Is there a second? Okay, any objection? Okay, then we will move into a placard vote on whether the nominee should be confirmed. So please raise your placard up for yes, and we will count. And up for no. And up for abstentions. Okay, then with a vote of 15 to 2 to 5, the nominee has been confirmed to a Senate position. Okay, we will now move into 34 SD, the seating of a nominee for Graduate and Professional Student Senate, with Vice Speaker Gonzalez.
Will the nominee come up? And he will speak, and then we'll see if we want to confirm him.
Is this going? Okay, there we go. Hi, y'all. So my name's Alexis Simano. I use they, them, their pronouns, and I'm currently a second year in the Student Affairs Master's Program. I was born and raised in actually San Jose, California, so I'm very far from home right now. A little bit about my background. I have a very extensive student government background. I started student government when I was in middle school. So I've been doing this for a while. Actually, last year was my first year. I did not do anything student government related. And that was just, I wanted to try something new. I previously worked in the Department of Residence. I also worked in the Graduate Career Services, as well as I'm currently teaching in the School of Education right now. And so I really would love to be a senator because I've really enjoyed all my student government experiences. And, you know, I think it's been a great experience so far, and I would love to add to my portfolio.
Okay, thank you. Are there any discussions, questions, or amendments? Perhaps Speaker Ludwig has an amendment.
Yep, I threw this bill together really last minute, so I'm going to move to add the nominee's name to the bill.
Great, so is there any objection? Then, if not, we will move into debate on whether the nominee's name should be on the bill seating them to Senate. Call to question, is there a second? All right, and is there any objection to the call to question? Sorry, that is not in order right now. We are on debate on a call to question for the amendment to add the nominee's name to the bill. The only thing in order right now would be an objection. Okay, so without objection, we'll move into a placard vote. It's been a call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? Okay, then the nominee's name has been added to the bill, and we will move back to Speaker Ludwig's speaking privilege.
I yield.
Perhaps Senator Hurley, did you want your question now? It would be in order. Okay, Senator Hurley.
I just had a simple question. Were you the residence advisor for Wallace Wilson?
So I was the graduate assistant for Wallace Wilson, so I supervised the hall desk.
That's all my questions. I yield my time.
Vice Speaker Gonzalez.
Hi, I'm sorry, I might have missed this while you were speaking, but what are some of the initiatives that you're looking forward to in student government? And just like some ideas or stuff that you might bring up, just wondering.
Yeah, so during my time in student government, specifically in undergrad, I was actually the ICA vice chair, which is our diversity committee that would propose funds to different cultural clubs on campus, as well as they have their own programming. So probably most likely a focus on diversity, as well as really supporting initiatives that support students in the long run, especially as a student affairs student and going into student affairs. My main goal in life is to support students. So whatever initiatives would support students in the long run.
Awesome, I yield.
It's been a call to question. Second, any objection? Okay, then without objection, we will go into a placard vote for the nominee. There's been a call for unanimous consent. Is there any objections? Okay, then by unanimous consent, the senator has been approved. Now move on to 2020-2-023 SC, confirming the ex officio Ames City Council liaison, and that is with Speaker Ludwig.
Yeah, if our nominee could approach the podium, talk about their interest and qualifications for the positions, that would be great.
All right, hello. So I'm Nicole Whitlock. I'm a senior in elementary education here at Iowa State. I've been actually attending all city council meetings since the end of last spring, and some of you have probably received notes from me since then. I've already been confirmed by the Ames City Council, and because of COVID, I couldn't be confirmed here until now. I was already involved in Ames politics and city activities since I was a freshman. I've been doing stuff around Ames and really involved with both student and Ames life. And I really love working to improve the city of Ames, the connection between students and the city of Ames, since we kind of are in our own little community here. and just really improving the relationship between the university as a whole and the city of Ames.
Still your speaking privilege, Speaker Ludwig.
Yeah. So what do you see as maybe some of the unique challenges that we're going to be facing this year in terms of relations with the city?
So COVID definitely presents some challenges because we haven't really been able to focus on a lot more than that so far in the past couple months, really. We've been working a lot on like housing and rental rights and stuff like that, but COVID has really just pushed a lot of stuff back, and with the mask ordinance coming up that's going to be in effect on Friday, we've been working on that for a couple weeks now, talking about it for months. Really just that, we've been really dealing with a lot of COVID things and having to push some things back because of that.
Right, so I'm gonna quick interject. So sorry, I don't think I made this clear, but if our Chief Justice Pro Tempore could quick swear in our new members off to the side, and then they can sit at the table and vote in this upcoming bill. Sorry, I wasn't clear about that. Right. I think Speaker Ludwig, it might still be your speaking privilege.
Always. Okay, so yeah, this position is really important. We don't get as many opportunities as I think we should to talk about our relationship with the city, so I really encourage everyone to ask questions. If you're interested in what's going on with the city of Ames, this is a really awesome opportunity to talk to our representative. I yield.
Any questions, discussions, or motions? There's been a call to question. There's been a second. Is there any objection? Perhaps an objection till our new members are sworn in would be. There's been an objection. Do you withdraw your motion, Senator? Okay, sorry. Okay, so we'll just.
Motion to add Senator.
They're automatically good.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. So the senators are already automatically added to the roll. So as soon as they can get seated, they'll be good to go. Senator Rinchie.
I was going to ask if you could, if you saw any ways that students could currently be helping to better our relationship with the city of Ames right now that you could help guide them through at this time.
Definitely. So if you ever have like a topic you want to bring up to the city of Ames, or just a question, comment, concern, like our city council meetings always have public forum, just like you guys do. So there's always that. You can always attend public forum, or of course, email me, contact anyone on the city council. Rachel Junk is also a student at Iowa State, so she is actually a councilwoman here for the city of Ames, so you can also contact her as well. But things to improve your relationship with Ames, just be a good citizen. Try to be as involved in the community as possible. There's always events like down on Main Street. They have stuff down there all the time. Super fun, like the farmers market, go attend that. Just walk around, see what Ames has to offer. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities here in Ames if you want to get involved with businesses or organizations. Just really any way you want to get involved with Ames is a good way to better the community.
How many? Am I in again?
I think they're all dead.
Oh, how about that? How many students usually attend Ames City Council meetings?
Not very many. Not as many as I think should, honestly. I attend city council meetings now, obviously, but Rachel Junk obviously also attends, but honestly, maybe a couple, I wouldn't say more than a handful attend city council meetings, but I would encourage everyone to attend. I think they're really informative. They give you a voice to the people representing the city, and they're just really an awesome opportunity to create connections within the city and with other students as well.
And if it's an initiative of yours to get more students at those meetings, how do you foresee yourself beginning that process?
So right now it's a little difficult because all of our meetings are being held on Zoom, but I try to send out notes on every meeting, and of course on the City of Ames website, there's always a Zoom link, so you can join the Zoom meeting anytime we have a meeting, and you can raise your hand for public comment. You can comment on any of the issues we discuss. The mayor or all the council members and I always have our emails open. You can email any of us. There's multiple ways to be in contact with that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I yield.
It's been a call to question. Any objections? Okay, then we'll move into a placard vote. Call for unanimous consent. Is there any objections to approving the nominee by unanimous consent? Seeing none, the nominee has been approved. Move on to 2020-2-028 SG, seating senators to Rules Committee with Speaker Ludwig.
Yeah, if my nominees that are here can approach the podium, that would be great. And just talk through why you're interested in the committee and what you're looking forward to this year and what you want to do.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Senator Advait. I'm a returning senator. I spent all of last year on Rules Committee, and I've become really familiar with the bylaws, Constitution, our working documents and such. And yeah, I'd love to keep working on these.
Hi, I am Senator Springer. I'm a UROC senator. This is my first year in student government, and I want to join this committee because I am really interested in getting into law and politics in my career, and I think this will be really important information. And I'm really excited to work with people who have been in this committee before and can educate me as I work to learn more about this area of government and help this area of government and this section of government run as well as it can to benefit as many people as it can. Thank you.
Yep, so Senator Mass and Weathers cannot be here because they're currently in quarantine. I can speak on their behalf. I worked with Senator Mass last year on the committee. He's fantastic. He knows the bylaws like the back of his hands. He's more than qualified to be on it, and I'm really excited to have him come back. And then Dawson Weathers is also going to be great on the committee. He was awesome in the interview, and I think he's really qualified for the position. And just to also rep these two, Advait was also on the committee last year. We worked together on a number of bills, and Sammy was also great during the interview. So I like all the nominees. Rules Committee does a lot of really important things, so if you have any questions about kind of how the bylaws are structured and what we're going to be up to this year, now is the time to ask them.
Any questions for the nominees or comments? Any motions? It's been a call to question. Is there a second? There's been a second. Any objections? Okay, then we'll move into a placard vote. Okay, and there's been a call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? Then by unanimous consent, senators have been sat to Rules Committee. Now I'll move on to 2020-2-029 SG, seating senators to Finance Committee with Vice Speaker Gonzalez.
Will the senators that want to be on Finance Committee please come up and then just talk a little bit about initiatives, ideas, what you guys plan to do in there, and all that good stuff.
All right, while they're getting up there, I'm going to speak for Mason. He is watching, so if you do have questions specifically for Mason, he can answer through me by texting me. So Mason is majoring in philosophy, sociology, and poli-sci. He's very busy with his studies, but he was on Finance Committee last year, loved it, and really liked all the experience he got. And he also wrote the first finance bill he wanted me to tell everyone that we're seeing tonight for the Triathlon Club. I worked with Mason last year on the committee as a senator. He's fantastic. But yeah, so if you have any questions for him, I can answer for him, and then I'll let the other nominees go.
Okay, yeah, I'm Jack Bender, business senator, studying like accounting senior year. I was in Finance Committee last year. I'd like to continue what I was doing, really like helping students really understand what PNC really is and just like really help clubs know what they're getting funded for and how to like go about it. So that's what I'd like to continue, I'd say, this coming year. Who's next?
Hi everybody, my name is Leslie Lona. I am a senior in biological systems engineering. I am an engineering senator, and my work with finance has been really more corporate based. So working with engineers during my internships, I've really had working with high budgets. I've had experience having to defend projects that I'm working on. And I would just hope to bring that energy to the finance committee. And, you know, we have very limited funds, so I really, and being that I'm a first year senator, I feel like it's a good perspective, me questioning, you know, where the funds are going. And I really hope to work with all of you, just be transparent. And yeah, as much as I want to defend some funds that I would want to use, I would hope the same from everybody else that comes through finance committee. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Pfeiffer. I am an IRHA senator here and a sophomore in civil engineering. I want to be on the finance committee to help clubs get the funding they need, and while at the same time balancing the cost to students. I think it's a really important responsibility, and I want to help make sure that everybody on campus gets access to the funds they need for their clubs. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
Okay, yeah, so are there questions for any of the nominees or discussion or motions? Is that a call to question? Any objections? Okay, then we'll go into a placard vote. There's been a call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection to approving the senators to Finance Committee by unanimous consent? Okay, then seeing no objection, the senators have been confirmed. Now move on to 2020-2-025SO, Tasking Rules Committee with Developing Election Reforms with Senator Stenzel.
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to start. I move to amend the motion by inserting ordered that Rules Committee work collaboratively with the Election Commission in developing the bill, semicolon, and be it further after the first ordered clause.
There's been a motion to add an ordered clause specifying that Rules Committee will work with Election Commission after the first ordered clause. Is there a second? Is there any objection? Okay, then we'll move into debate on the amendment. Senator Stenzel.
This is to just clear up a little miscommunication as far as the wording. We had a meeting. Zach and I were, Senator Mass and I were able to sit in on an Election Commission meeting on Wednesday, I believe, Monday, just to kind of communicate a little better. And we thought that this might help everyone understand the purpose of the bill a little bit better, that it is, the goal is to work together to create good results. It wasn't in any way attacking or negative. So that is why I am proposing the amendment. I encourage you to vote in favor of it. I yield.
Senator Rinchie.
Yeah, would you, Senator Stenzel, would you please mind going a little bit more in depth on what you would like to achieve with some of these reforms, please?
As a reminder, only discussions about this specific amendment would be germane as answers to that question.
I'll postpone that same question until we finish this.
Okay. There's been a call to question on the amendment. There's been a second. Is there any objection? So without objection, I'll just wait a little bit till the wording is specifically on the screen before I ask for a vote.
I'm sorry, it would not.
All right. So we'll go into a placard vote. It's called for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? Okay, then the amendment has been approved. And we will go back to Senator Stenzel's speaking privilege. Senator Stenzel yields. Senator Rinchie.
I'm going to re-ask you that. So if you wouldn't mind going into depth on what you would like to achieve with some of these reforms, please.
Absolutely. You know, I know initially there was maybe some miscommunication on the bill as a whole, but after sitting down with Election Commission, I think we're in a much better spot now. The overall goal is to really just create an easier process. One of the goals is to create a uniform process that happens every year, so we're not passing a whole huge bill every year. The permanent election code will hopefully include more voices, whereas senators can have a voice in how things are structured. You know, the more the merrier, I think, in terms of that. And it's really, the purpose of this bill specifically is not to take any specific action. It's really just to get Rules Committee going on something and create a deliverable on a specific date. So that's the intention of the bill. If anybody has any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like you're trying to pull an override on the Election Commission. You're trying to help make a stable document for long term. And will you have a like a period where students who are concerned with this sort of topic can approach the Rules Committee and the Election Commission to make comments known?
That's a great idea. I don't think we'd considered that yet, but I think that's a really good idea that we should explore.
Awesome. With that, I yield.
Vice Speaker Gonzalez.
Hi. Yeah, so when election time comes around and Election Commission presents their presentation, will the bylaw rules that Rules Committee comes up with be the only requirement, or can Election Commission add their own rules when it comes up?
So as I think we came to an agreement, the goal is to create a good template of a process where amendments and things can happen, but it's not necessarily a whole entirely new process every year. And I understand that's not how it is precisely, but amendments could be made. Election Commission would obviously have a say in that, their Election Commission. But the goal is to have just more uniformity year to year. Did I answer your question? I think I kind of beat around your question. Can you re-ask it?
Yeah, no, it's okay. So how I'm understanding it is Rules Committee will come up with the rules for elections each year, but that if, like, for a special election or like something special happens that year, Election Commission will have to go through a senator to make an amendment to the bylaws each election season if they want something to change. Is that correct? Yes?
Yes, I would agree with that statement.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. All right, thank you.
Do you yield? Okay, so are there any further questions, discussions, motions? Call to question. Is there a second? Any objection? Okay, then we will move on to a vote. We will do a placard vote. This is call for unanimous consent. Any objection? Okay, then by unanimous consent, Rules Committee has been tasked with developing election reforms. We will now move on to our last bill to vote on today, which is 2020-2-035 SG, seating senators to Student Initiatives Committee with Senator Avite.
So if the nominees on the bill would like to step up to the podium.
Yeah. Just go for it.
All right, hi. My name is Daniel Hayes. I'm a senator for the College of LAS, majoring in political science. And I would really enjoy to be on the Student Initiatives Committee because I see it, that along with just solving problems, a lot of like what I really appreciate about Iowa State is all the extra effort which is put in to making the student experience better, and that's something which I think I could also be a part of if I were a part of this committee, and that's a lot of what I see the benefit of this committee doing for the student body, and so I hope to also be a part of the enhancements which it brings.
Hi everyone, my name is Money. I'm a fourth year in aerospace. I'm a UROC senator, and I'm interested in joining the Student Initiatives Committee because I think it's very important and crucial to get creative resources out to students as effectively and efficiently as possible, especially in this COVID era. Stuff like getting people to have more area to hang out or just even eat is very important because we want people to be social distancing as much as possible. So something like that is very important, and I think that's something that's interesting to me and I want to work towards making things like that more viable.
All right, so as the bill currently stands, I do not rule it in order as there is not a Senator Skinner. So there will have to be an amendment to change that unless that person is an at-large, which then the line could maybe be moved around. But so maybe Senator Hovey knows. Senator Hovey.
Okay, can I make an amendment to strike the Skinner's name off of the bill? I apologize. She listed herself as a senator through the form.
Since it does not change the intent of the bill, I will consider it a friendly unless there's an objection. So this isn't a friendly amendment, so without objection, the name has been struck. Thank you. So, are there, Senator Bender?
What initiatives do you think you guys would be working towards if you were to be sat in the committee?
So, I don't think I've ever introduced myself. Are you okay if I do that?
Completely.
Okay.
You're good.
So, I'm Senator Advait, junior in mechanical engineering, minoring in computer science, political science. I was on this committee last year and had the privilege of picking up a couple initiatives on behalf of the students. We are the primary organization that can bring student interests in front of the administration, and that's why I want to work with this organization to answer Senator to answer Senator Bender's question. Hold on, what's going on?
What?
Never mind. To answer Senator Bender's question, I think this year is going to be more important than ever. We're facing a lot of uncertain circumstances, a lot of unprecedented situations, and we need to have a unified front to face the university and bring student voices to the administration to get things done.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I think that stuff that like making people experience more social distance is as important as possible, and then getting things like hand sanitizer as readily available, more readily available at like the fronts of buildings and stuff like that is very important, and that's something like I'd like to work with and hopefully get approved too.
And as for myself, I think that along with providing these resources, it's also a big cultural thing to have students want to actually use them and wear their masks and hand sanitize, and also going forward just being part of a community culture in general on Iowa State's campus. And so I'd hope to help provide some sort of shift in the way that students think about each other and respect each other so that they can use these resources responsibly.
Do you yield?
Yes, I yield.
Director Stanley. Director Stanley is requesting unanimous consent of the Senate to speak, even though he does not have a speaking privilege. Is there any objection? You can say it. Otherwise, Senator Stanley.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I was a member of this committee for 2 years. So I just have one question I'd like to ask you. Sorry, my voice is sometimes muffled. So what, in your opinion, is the ideal student initiative? Or any of you can answer.
Hello. The ideal student initiative is something that makes the student experience better and gives people that are looking at Iowa State as a potential college, gives them all the more reason to attend this college. That's a very philosophical answer. A more specific answer, it's going to be very subjective. I'd say every year is going to be different. A couple of years ago, campus lighting was a big issue. That makes safety really important and makes people, it reduces the barrier of entry, I guess, when they see a safe campus. This year it might be, like my other co-nominee said, something with COVID safety, having more hand sanitizer stations, stuff like that. So I hope that answers your question.
I think the ideal student initiative is that people need to want to come to the class. They want to go to different after-school activities and stuff like that. There's a lot of people who skip class. There's a lot of people who do their own thing, and we want that to decrease as much as possible. So having student initiative, have people excited to be here, and have people excited to work towards their goals and future is, in my eyes, the ideal student initiative.
And to reiterate that excitement, I think that a lot of student initiatives, or the ideal student initiative would be something which permits, more students to get what they want out of the university, and not just, in the academic sense, but in all senses, extracurricular as well.
Awesome, thank you. All great answers in my opinion. I yield.
Thank you, Director Stanley. Thought I would have to go a whole year without hearing that question, so it's great to hear. Is there any further questions or discussions, motions? There's been a call to question and a second. Is there any objection? Okay, we'll do a placard vote. There's been called for unanimous consent. Is there any objection to seating the senators by unanimous consent? Then seeing none, the senators are sat to Student Initiatives Committee. Now move into new business. We have 2020-2-005F, Budding Triathlon Club with Senator Bender. Okay, are there any questions of intent for Senator Bender? Senator or Vice Speaker Gonzalez.
Can I do a friendly and change my name?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions of intent? Then seeing none, we'll see this next week. Now moving on to 2020-2-030SR, support of Iowa State action to prevent a COVID-19 outbreak with Speaker Ludwig.
Title. Okay. Yep. So this is a resolution that Senator Zastro and Weathers drew up. They are in quarantine, so I threw my name on it so that we can talk about it. I think this is something important that we're going to deal with. I can't speak to all the aspects of the bill, so I do encourage you to reach out to them if you have questions. But if there's any kind of general questions, I'm more than happy to at least take a stab at answering them.
Senator Rinchie.
We saw it in the group chat, but can you please confirm that it is Senator Zastro's intention to strike the line about Greek housing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Senator Young.
I'm not sure if you can speak on behalf of Senator Zastro's intent on this point, but would there be any willingness to amend this to make a distinction between the undergraduate colleges and the graduate colleges and or the veterinary college?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Kloptatauskas.
Speaker Ludwig, I was wondering if you could comment on, obviously the rates have peaked in Ames, but I was wondering if you could comment on the direction to then send our growing population of COVID back to their homes.
As a reminder, only yes or no questions are in order on the first reading of a bill.
Do you think it's a good idea to send a massive population that is seeing increasing rates of COVID back to all sorts of areas within Iowa and the United States?
I will not allow that question, as it is not a question of intent. That is a question of debate.
I yield.
Senator Dwight.
I suppose it's redundant, but seeing as SI committee seated now, would you consider putting the bill through SI before it makes it onto the floor?
Yes.
Sweet.
Senator Simonson.
Is it the intent of the bill to have students leave Ames and return to their home communities?
Yes?
Senator Lona.
Could we amend the bill so that it mentions possible reimbursement for students?
Yeah.
Are there any further questions of intent? Okay, then seeing none, we'll see this bill next week. Moving on to 2020-2-031 SR, endorsing income share agreements with Senator Stenzel.
Title. Thank you. This is what Director of Affordability Campbell talked about in the beginning. She obviously did a much better job of explaining it than I ever could. So I would encourage you to direct questions her way after meeting. Yeah.
Senator Lona? Any further questions of intent? Okay, then seeing none, we'll see this bill next week as well. Senator Dwight?
Move to waive bylaw 7.3.1 for this term.
Senator Dwight has moved to waive bylaw 7.3.1, which requires vice chairs to be sat by today of committees. There has been a second. Is there any objection? Okay, then seeing no objection, we'll move into debate on the motion.
Yeah, basically what was just said. Yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. But other than that, all the questions.
Okay, there's been a call to questions. Is there a second? I didn't hear a second, so the motion does not. Okay, Senator Rinchie.
Your intent with this is so that because committees were just confirmed today, is that so that way they have time to determine vice chairs, or would you please like to explain what you're going
Do I
after?
need to withdraw first?
Sorry, what was that?
Could you please explain your intent with the motion you're making right now?
Well, I'm withdrawing the call to question, and to explain my intent, given that we only had, so the bylaw in its entirety says Finance, Public Relations, Civic Engagement, Sustainability Committee, and Student Initiatives Committee shall select a vice chair from among its members by the third meeting of the second session. This is the third meeting of the second session, and considering that a lot of these committees just got seated or still haven't been seated completely, I think it's prudent to waive this bylaw.
Sounds great. No, I just have a couple people who ask about things, so I'll make sure they're clarified. Thank you very much.
All right, call to question.
Sorry, Speaker Ludwig, could you clarify what bylaw allows the waiving of bylaws, and if it does allow waiving bylaws of Chapter 7?
Yes, if you give me just one moment.
Thank you.
Point of order, this only works for chapters 4 and 5. My bad.
Do you withdraw your motion?
I do withdraw my motion.
Okay, so the motion has been withdrawn. So the bylaw still stands that Senate committees ought to try and have their vice chairs by the end of this meeting. Good luck. Senator Rinchie.
Is there a consequence if they do not have those people chosen by today?
The Speaker could award the chairs of such committee a nonfeasance of duty, or the Speaker could not award the chairs of those committees a nonfeasance of duty.
Could we possibly move to delay like 1 week before those penalties are put in place, so that way they have a week, or not?
I think that would be a tabling of a bylaw, which I don't think is allowed of anything, so, in any chapter.
Thank you. I withdraw, or yield.
Okay, Senator Dwight.
We could go down the rabbit hole of waiving 4.12.11.1, which is in chapter 4 and prevents us from waiving any bylaws outside of Chapter 4 and 5. But I think, does anyone remember what happened last year when we tried to do this?
Please state your, you may take the floor to submit a motion. You may not create debate on a motion that is not pending. So I did not,
In the motion.
I thought you withdrew the motion.
Oh yeah, right, I did. Sweet.
Maybe our newly sat Rules Committee can find us the answers at some point. If there are no other motions, I will move into closing announcements. So if there are any closing announcements for the body, please raise your placard in the air. Senator Bender. Yeah.
Yeah, can you just come and talk to me if I'm your mentor? Cool.
Treasurer Rulli.
Hi, everybody. So I'm looking for 3 volunteers to assist me as asset liaisons to complete our asset board. It's a very low commitment volunteer position. Essentially, you're performing visits to different human resources providers across Iowa. This can be done in person or over Zoom. It's a great way to make an impact on our community and see up close essential work that's being provided in our area to people that need it. Training provided, and it can be done on, and it will be done next Thursday over Zoom. If you can't make it, then it's no problem. I can help train you in as well. It's not technically a student gov committee, but it's a great way to help out the community, and you can put it on your resume as well. If you're interested or know anyone who is, let me know or shoot me an email. Thank you.
Senator Dwight.
Same thing as Senator Bender. If my mentees would like to talk to me after the meeting, I would love to touch base with all of you. That's all I have. Oh, and stay safe.
Okay, then I will go with mine, and I asked if you're meeting with your mentees, maybe do it outside, so we're not inside with a group of people closer together. But just remember to stay safe, make good decisions, because as there's a lot of senators that can't be here today, due to being quarantined because had a close exposure. So the less people you can be around, the greater chance you can be at these meetings, and that just helps you represent the people that you were elected or nominated to represent. So thank you. And Vice Speaker Gonzalez.
Dang, y'all are ready to get out of here. Hi guys, I hope you all had a happy Wednesday and are kicking week 3's butt. And as Senator Bender so lovingly said, the mentor-mentee pairings have come out. I sent them all an email on Monday. Please make sure that you check that and so that you know who is your mentor and who are your mentees. I also said in the email the requirements and the suggestions, so make sure to look over those. I am suggesting that each time you meet for 15 minutes just to, not only talk about StuGov, but, get to know each other. And then it is required that you meet 2 times a month. This started September. And then, yeah, so mentors, every single time that you talk to your mentees, please make sure to email me so that we can keep track for accountability reasons. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Speaker Ludwig.
Cool. I got a couple things to go through. First, on the COVID-19 resolution, talk to your constituents, talk to the people in your classrooms. There's a lot of interest in this. ISU is facing a lot of unique challenges, and this is a chance for us to discuss those challenges. I'm not necessarily a fan of everything in the resolution, but I think this is a really important thing for us to talk about, and I think this is a way in which we can do it. I've been talking to my constituents. I've been getting emails from people in my constituency. I've been getting emails from people outside of my constituency. So there's a lot of interest, and I just really encourage you to engage people. This is obviously a resolution and a statement of opinion, but the opinion of this body matters to the people in the administration. And so we shouldn't take these things lightly, and I encourage you all to get involved. And then next week, as President Fritz said, President Winterstein is going to be at this meeting. She's going to be speaking in the programs section. She's going to be talking about the university's COVID-19 response, so just convenient timing, I guess. And so, come prepared with questions. Tell your friends, your classmates about it. We do have limited capacity in the room, so I would encourage you, if you're telling them about it, that we do have a live stream and that they can watch there. And that if they have any questions, they should definitely forward those to their representatives in this room. So, yep. And then committees, please apply to committees. I know we've sat a couple of them. There are still some committees that are still looking for senators. You are all required to sit on at least one, so I'm going to need you to get along with that. Related to that, I will not be handing out malfeasances to committee chairs for not getting a vice chair by today, so don't worry about that. And Emily Rizovic wanted me to let you all know that if you have any questions for her regarding Election Commission or her nomination for the commissionership, that you should email her or just reach out to her in general, and she'd be more than happy to talk with you. So, yep. Go Cyclones. Move to adjourn.
Any objection? We are adjourned.